Okay, so let's try something else. If you notice, when we were looking at our curb cuts, notice here on this curb, what do we realize we have? A nice round edge on our curbs, right? It would be nice if we could have something similar on this curb. How would we go about doing that though? How could we put a curb like that on there? I'm going to pause the video for a second. We're going to talk about something. So, in order to get that nice looking rounded edge on there, I have to go about doing something a little different. And this will be kind of our first foray into editing a family of a type. Okay, so what I would do for that typically, I would use a sweep. And so, in order to do that, I'm going to have to use something called a slab edge. Now, slab edge are often used with slabs on the ground, and instead of putting footings all around, if we're in a place where the weather is warm enough, or we're just supporting a bearing wall, which we will do in our 259 projects, we can use slab edges all over our slab instead of having footings that go all the way down, because we're not going to get any frost heave in certain places. Okay, so how can we go about doing that? If I click on that slab edge, immediately I'm taken into something that says thickened 24 by 12, right? If I was to come in and just put that on my wall, that wouldn't do anything for me, right? So in order to make this work, I am going to have to build one that works for me, because again, if I go here and go to slab edge, like say I put it on my road there, see how it threw that slab edge on there? I don't want that on my sidewalk, so I'm going to undo that. What I'm going to have to do is go over here to file, and I'm going to have to do something. I'm going to go to new, and I'm going to create a family, right? When I click on that, I'm going to get out here, right? And it's offering me some template files. Well, I don't want to get into the templates for these families right now. What I want to come down to is I want to come down to where it says profile. And what that profile is going to do is allow me to create my own sweep to run along my sidewalk. Okay, so when I click on that and say open, immediately the very first thing I want to do is go up here to file and go to save as, right? And in my lecture 5 folder, I want to call this sidewalk curb. Okay, now when I'm in here, the first two things I'm going to see are these things called reference planes. Reference planes show us where to draw things so that when we attach them to things like walls and floors, they attach to the portion of it we want them to attach to. Well, what do I mean by that? If I go down here, you see where it says floor plans? Because this is a profile, it only gives me an opportunity to look at this in this reference level right now. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to create maybe somewhat of a problem, and then we'll come back and fix it. Okay? So on the create tab here, I'm going to click that, and I'm going to simply click on line. Okay, so when I clicked on create on the create tab and I clicked on line, right? And I come in here and I start drawing, notice, I'm trying to draw along this line right now, okay? And as I draw along this line, I can tell exactly how far I'm going up. And look there, if you remember, that 8 inches related to my what? To my actual curve. So I want to start there. Okay. The second thing I'm going to do is click here, and I'm going to come out probably about the same distance, maybe, right? Or maybe a little more shallow, maybe 6 inches, and I'll click that. Then I'm going to bring this up maybe about 5 inches, and then I'm going to come over to the line, and I'm going to click this modify place lines, and you see how it gives me the option, the start radius arc. I'm going to click here, here, and I'm going to approximate that curve. So I'm going to put in here, let's say 0 space 9. That's my curve. Now, ideally, mine might be a little, it might drop a little more, but I just want to show you all the Y's in this. You see how this is probably a little taller than it ought to be, right? What if I went in here and said, let's make this 2 inches or 3 inches? How about that? And then once I grab on that, you see I can't make that fit anymore. So what I need to do, go to the Create tab, and you'll do this, people. You'll try and get a feel for exactly what this should look like based on a picture. And I'm going to say now 0 space 6 will work, right? And that's going to do for me for right now. Now, that said, I'm going to save this, right? Because I've already saved it as a name. And notice here it says load into project and close. I'm going to click that option. And now I have to go to what? My floor function. Once I'm in the 3D view, I'm going to go to floor. And when I go to floor, right, I'm going to go to slab edge. And wait a minute, where's my profile? How am I going to load my profile? Well, I've got to come here and hit edit type. Then I have to duplicate this, and I'm going to put in here sidewalk curb. Once I do that, notice there's an option for what? A profile. I'm going to click here and look at this. The sidewalk curb profile is loaded because I loaded it into my project. I click on it. I can also do what? Do you remember my sidewalk? I want to make it the same material, right? And another thing I'm going to do while I'm here, people, I'm going to take out that sidewalk control joint pattern for right now, just so it's a little easier to see something. And I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to come here. And you see how I touch the line and it turns blue? Now there's my curb. Now, what you notice is that it's covering up my curb cut now. So how do I fix that? Well, if I go to my site plan, notice if I click on my sweep, right, my sidewalk curb, I can add, remove segments. And what can be tough about this sometimes is getting the segment exactly right. I'm going to pause the video and I want to talk to you about something quick. So we discussed how to make this happen. If you notice, we came in when this thing was all the way down like this, right? In order to make that work, we just grabbed it and we went this direction. And then what I could do is click on this and say create similar and put another one in, and then I could technically drag the end of that one back as well. Okay, and then basically from that point on, you're just kind of fiddling with it to make it look the way you need it to look for a particular view of your drawing. All right, and I'll go ahead and stop the video.